Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 11 of A Tour of the Londonverse. Today we'll be looking at LSX, or better known as Luchasaurus X. Now this is a real favourite promotion amongst the people that have worked on the data, such as myself and Tiberius and M Hero. I think a lot of you guys will really enjoy it. It's got some very interesting characters. It has a TV show, has monthly pay-per-views. I believe it's cult size. As you can see from the screen here, I've selected James' avatar as per usual. Stats split right down the centre. And I've simmed up to their first television show, Jurassic TV. So we get right into the game, and you can see I've already accidentally skipped one further screen on from what I would normally do. However, as it still gives me access to view the roster and titles and what have you, it's fine. But we are on the day of the show. We will have a look at the main hub of LSX. As you can see, it is of cult status. 12th ranking in the Londonverse data, so it's one of the bigger promotions. And in the bank it's got $2.5 million, so you shouldn't be running out of that anytime soon. And with TV money and pay-per-view revenue coming in, it's a really solid basis to start from. Prestige D-, Momentum D-. As I said, LSX Jurassic TV, Tuesday of week 1. Let's not waste any more time, get right into the roster. Now you'll see quite a lot of interesting characters, and couldn't be more fitting with the opening individual we're looking at, known as Anarchy. Now he's one half of the Raiders tag team, which is kind of like a fall of man, end of the world type tandem. Pretty entertaining, more of a brawler, even though he's classed as a regular wrestler and he's a lightweight. I see him being more of a brawler than anything else. Not an over-the-top comedy character, certainly. They're not all like that. Some of them certainly are, and you'll see them. But fit for the tag team division. Arguably my least favourite tag team in this promotion, and that's not because they're bland or anything like that. It's just I don't know, I'm not connecting with them personally. And it seems to be, from what I've noticed in the videos that I've done for you guys recently, the first character we've looked at in every promotion, obviously it's alphabetical, I haven't particularly cared for. Now Anarchy isn't my least favourite on the roster, but he's certainly nowhere near the top end of the spectrum either. We'll move on from Mr. Anarchy to Blood Ant. Now, Blood Ant is one third of the trio that is collectively known as the Picnic Crusade. One of my favourite characters in this company. I think I like the unit in general, to be fair. 36 years of age, so I think he's the most experienced head out of the trio. Main eventer, face, old school face. Can do a bit of everything. If we have a look at his stats there, not shabby in brawling or mat wrestling for that matter. Pretty good in athleticism and toughness. He's able to do pretty much everything to a decent level, and for a cult company, that's all you can really ask for from him. Main event status is perfectly fitted for him, I think, and whereas I think it was the previous episode where I covered Pure Heart Wrestling, it was definitely Pure Heart Wrestling. I mentioned that as a tag team worker, I find it difficult to push them as a main eventer. Now, as Blood Ant is part of a trio and isn't just linked to tag team action, I wouldn't have a problem pushing him as a main eventer, although I would occasionally want to draw him back into the trios competition and the tag team matches as well. He's almost an exception that proves the rule, I guess, in this case. Move on now to Blue Demon, very exuberant mask, one third of Hellspawn Playgroup, alongside Purple Demon and Yellow Demon, I think, are the other two members of that crew, if you can call it a crew, I guess. 29 years of age. Main eventer also, he's the best overall out of his little trio, in much the same way that Blood Ant is the best out of his trio. I mean, again, you could argue either way for other members of the roster, or other members of the units being the better, but from my perspective, I think just having a look at what they bring to the table overall, these two are the top in their little trios. I think even though he's a regular wrestler, he does have technical abilities, because I've got the Fog of War and it doesn't really go into too much detail on the right hand side, but he's pretty proficient. And I think a lot of the people in this company, Luchasaurus X, were trained or had influence from Ray Suddenberg, who is or was, I should say, until I took over the promotion, the guru of this company. He created it. He's got a dojo that's linked to it where he trains new wrestlers. in much the same way that Mike Quackenbush does with Chikara. And it's a very Chikara-esque style promotion. There aren't any women in it, like there are in Chikara, they have a few. But that's something that obviously, if you're running the company, it's something you could bring in. Anyway, I think I've wasted enough time waffling on about Blue Demon. We'll move on to the next individual, and that is Clark Jordan Wayne. Kind of going for the Clark Kent gimmick, I think it's fair to say. Journalist with the glasses, but he's got the Superman little quiff there at the front. Upper mid-carder. I know people that have seen the data and used the data enjoy Clark Jordan Wayne. I don't really care for him, if I'm being honest. Wouldn't say that he's bad, or it's just I don't particularly care for the character. I think he'd be a more entertaining heel. If it were me doing a long-term game, I'd probably try and lean towards that way, I think. Upper mid-carder, I might even try and phase him down to being a mid-carder as opposed to being on the higher end of that scale. Certainly not bad, but not great either, has to be said. Devon Flash. I believe he is at one half of the tag team, the Windy City Whirlwinds. 30 years of age, cruiserweight competitor, lightweight, mid-card face, daredevil gimmick. Surprisingly, one of the bland characters in this promotion. I do like the tag team though. Got a kind of funky name with the Windy City Whirlwinds. Bit of a tongue twister for you. See what I did there? Twister, Whirlwinds. Hey, yeah, it's all good. Gonna stay in the tag team ranks for the foreseeable future, I think. I don't see much single stardom in his future, but as I've said countless times, it's a case of seeing how they perform and how they develop, and obviously depending on the storylines that you implement them or have them involved in, it could entirely change your perspective on the guy. So you'll get the sense when I really dislike someone, because I'll flat out say that I'll pretty much try and get rid of them from the company as soon as possible. And I've done that with a few people that we've covered in other promotions. Devon Flash doesn't fall into that category, fortunately, and I do like having him around as part of the tag team division. And here we have Extermination, including World War II gas mask, which is, I don't know, what kind of shade of green would you call that? Forest green? I don't know, we'll call it forest green. Bit of war paint on as well. Again, he's part of the unit, the Raiders. I don't think it's a tag team per se, because we saw his... Oh no, he does. He is the other half of the tag team, the Raiders. The trio collectively are known as the Fallout, which kind of gives you a bit of inspiration of where that name came from. Again, he's my least favourite tag team, or he's part of the least favourite tag team in the promotion. Not to say he's bad, it's not even the gimmick's bad, it's just I don't particularly have any immediate ideas for them, and I think that's what's holding me back from giving them a bit more of a boost in terms of selling them to you guys watching this video. And he's an enhancement talent as well, so it'd be a bit of a challenge to get him up the card quickly. Now here's a funky mask that I made myself. This was one of my very early mask creations, I think. I don't entirely know what I was going for with the design in general. I think it works pretty well, kind of cartoon horror, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Now, his name is Fear. He's the ringleader of the trio known as Horror Story, which is another faction, and in LSX in general, they have a trios tournament, much like Chikara does in the real world. So, yeah, it's important to have factions in this promotion, certainly, because they do hold an annual tournament for it, as I just said. Middleweight brawler, not especially great in the ring, not bad, certainly. Lower mid-carder, I think he deserves to be a little bit higher on the roster when you look at the likes of Clark Jordan Wayne, who's an upper mid-carder. I think it'd be more fitting to switch those two round. But he is one half of the tag team champions, the LSX Dual Warrior Kings, which is a great name for a title, if I do give myself a little bit of a pat on the back there. I could see this guy being a main eventer for the promotion. 32 years of age, so still has time to do it, and obviously with a weekly TV show, it's not just a case of doing the one show a month and having to almost rush to the end goal of where you want to get to stop them aging too quickly to do what you want with them. So I would try and get him closer to the main event. I think he deserves it, to be fair. Move on now to the exquisitely facially haired George Jones with interesting glasses and a weird quiffy hair to go with it. with the side parting, I think it's a great look. Kind of apart from the tash curling up at the end, if I took my hat off and put on glasses, that would kind of be my look, I guess. Not too much with the side parting, it's a little bit toned down in the hair, but very similar. That's probably the closest render, apart from the graphic that you see at the beginning and the end of my videos, and it's my little YouTube icon. That's probably the closest person in game to my physical appearance, I would say. Probably put a couple of pounds on around this area, but apart from that, anyway, I'm digressing too much. We'll get right back into this. Now, George Jones, I think, is one of the tag team competitors from the old school trio, alongside Leonard March and Professor Principal, which is wait, who the hell's Professor Principal? I think that needs to be amended in the bio. There is someone called Principal in there, but it's not Professor Principal. Henry Principal. Well, I guess it's Professor Henry Principal. So, okay, yeah, you know, it does work. It just threw me off a little bit there. As I said, it's been a while since I've come to some of these promotions, so you'll have to bear with me if I say things that are absolute bullshit. I like this unit. They might be my favourite trio in the company, which is saying something, since we've already seen the Picnic Crusade and Horror Story. Yeah, not spectacular in the ring. He's got pretty good rumble skills, though. 29 years of age. Again, he's someone I'll probably look to push in the long run and get them closer to... oh, well, to be fair, they already are classed as a main eventer. That's surprising, actually, because I did think George Jones was about a mid-card, upper mid-carder. So it's good to know, for me, that I could put him in title matches right away and not think anything about it. Move on now to Guy Hero. Now, I think this was a Tiberius character originally, where he suggested someone with a Japanese anime kind of hairstyle and look, so that's what I went with and just ran with it. He is an American, but that's obviously where his style has been influenced from. I think upper mid-carder is roundabout where he deserves to be. He's not as good as some of the other people that we've seen so far in the ring, but having said that, he is young as well. He's 26 years of age, so there's plenty of time for him to improve. And I know that, well, I'm certain that there'll be people that would play as this promotion that would treat Guy Hero with, I don't know, preference, I guess. I think they'll put him in title matches pretty soon. And I can't blame him for it. He's a pretty cool character. Move on now to Halloween. The Nightmare on Your Street. Hashtag that. 7-year veteran. Only an enhancement talent in this company. I think that's a bit unfair. He's been here long enough, really, to kind of be higher up on the pecking order than that. I guess his in-ring skills have held him back a little bit, and he is behind Fear in the pecking order of his little group of Horror Story. But I like the guy. I think it's a bit harsh having him that low on the card. I'd certainly get him to around about mid-card level, I think, maybe lower mid-card, and see where things went from there. Again, you can see some of my earlier mask work here. You'll notice that as I go along, and some of the free agents that you'll see have got fantastic mask designs, and that's not all my doing, certainly. But I do kind of like the cartoony aspect of it, and I think with this kind of promotion, it's fine. You don't have necessarily all the great, intricate, elaborate masks. I mean, some people do, some people don't. But I like the cartoony look on some of these characters in this company. Move on now to Hashiro Mori. Now, if I recall, he actually joined the AWF originally and was a former champion. I could be wrong about the champion part, but I know he was in AWF at some point. Since then, he's obviously kind of faded out of the limelight somewhat, and he's found himself working for LSX, where he's kind of a bit more gimmicked up with the kind of blood paint that he's got on his cheeks, as you can see from the render. He is a main eventer, and I think that's on reputation of where he's been as much as what he can do in the ring. And he's certainly no slouch. I mean, as he's been around for a while, you can see his stats in a bit of greater detail on the right-hand side. So, fitting of his position on the roster. I do like the guy. He's probably someone who's going to be feuding immediately with Ray Suddenberg, who I believe is the singles champion off the top of my head. Might be Jay Omega, but I think it is Ray Suddenberg. So yeah, a good name to have on this roster. He's one of the similar to, I'm trying to think of in AAA. It was Caballero Aguila, I think his name was. He was obviously formerly of AWF himself, and he's one of the big fish in the little pond there. It's not quite a stark contrast for LSX because they are higher up as a company. But yeah, no, very helpful hand to have round in the locker room, certainly. Move on now to the Professor Henry Principal, excuse me. Great facial hair as well, much like George Jones. 36 years of age, so he's got a few years on his partner. Got the teacher gimmick, old school teacher, very much take his belt off to slap someone upside the head, that kind of teacher, or ruler across the knuckles. Good rumble, good technical. Wouldn't expect him to improve too much. Someone that I could see in the foreseeable just staying around and doing solid work in the tag team and trios division. I do like the guys I've said. Put him in the similar class to George Jones. Not quite as popular as George Jones in my book, but pretty high up. Upper mid-carder status really says it all. Move on now to Impaler. And this is again the other half of the tag team, the Raiders. He is probably my least favourite in this company. No, second least favourite. We haven't come to the Great Clemento yet. I think, in fact, it might be this gentleman that drags down my opinion of his partners in Anarchy and Extermination. Very average in the ring, 28 years of age, it's okay. I do like the helmet look and what have you, it's just, I don't know, again, I find it strange that I can't really connect with them. And again, if I put them in the right storyline, where I could see progression for them, that might entirely change. James Avatar, myself, we don't need to go over that. J Omega. Now he's the protege of Ray Suddenberg, one of the first people that he completely trained from scratch. Came up to the roster, was a tag team partner of Ray Suddenberg until he kind of went down the heel road, turned on him, got him to main event status. The hair is fantastic, facial hair leaves a little bit to be desired. Someone that would be around the main event scene for as long as he wants, to be honest. I don't see me jobbing him down the card at all. Definitely a champion. I think canonically speaking, he is a champion in LSX, even though it might not reflect that yet on the title history. But someone that I would have no problem putting the title back on. I think there's a lot of upside in him, and he's fantastic in rumble, technical and high flying. So really someone that Ray Suddenberg was able to put his stamp on, and J Omega's managed to make a name for himself in the company, which is great. Now Jeremiah West, born and raised in West Philadelphia. Do I really need to say more on who this was influenced by? It wasn't a character that I came up with. I believe it was a board-submitted character from some time back, and I think this was one of the 3 characters that was selected to come into the company. I'm trying to think who the other 2 were, actually. I can't recall off the top of my head. Might be Clark Jordan Wayne and Nin Giant. I think Nin Giant sounds about right. Cruiserweight competitor, mid-carder, heel, time traveller gimmick, just a bit wacko, a bit like Ollie Midnight, not as far as gimmick-wise, but I see them on that same kind of bizarre plane of reality. Okay in the ring, 31 years of age. I don't think he'd get any higher than mid-carder for me, at least not in the short term. Leonard March, really like this render, I have to say. The Drill Sergeant. I think if my memory serves me right, he is the final member of the old school with George Jones and Professor Henry Principal. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say on him. 33 years of age, his brawling stats are pretty damn good. Entertainment-wise, alright. You know, high C's, that's pretty good. Heel, they would be my odds-on favourites to win the Trios tournament when that does roll round. I can't remember the name of that show off the top of my head, but it is written in there to take place at... It might be on the anniversary show, which is, I know, is Luchasaurus X. Very clever worded, I know. Anyway, move on now to Mr. Martin Gieser, I think is, or Gies? Anyone who's good with pronunciation of Danish names, please do help me in the comments below. I'm pretty good with foreign names in general, but my instinct for that would be Martin Gies. So I will go with Martin Gies for this. So masterful Martin Gies, for that matter. 31 years of age, Japanese junior, lightweight, mid-carder. Yeah, that's pretty much about all you really need to know about this gentleman. Technical's pretty good and high flying's pretty good. Entertainment, he's an all-rounder, much like we saw with J Omega, not to that level, obviously, but got the pretentious artist. I think that comes with being European. We seem to get typecast in certain motions in a certain way, and I think Martin Giesa falls into that category. I do like him, but for now, very much a mid-carder. Murcielago Negro, or Black Bat. I trust my Google translation skills from back in the day. I'll say that that's correct. I'm not 100% sure because my Spanish is more than rusty, let's say. 27 years of age. Opener. There is potential. The mask is nice and there is potential with the character. Whether he would reach main event status, I don't know. Probably do better in a company like Quadruple L, because LLLL just sounds ridiculous. Or MDL for that matter, or even EMLO, Mexican promotions that we haven't yet come across. I think he's more kind of making his name in America by competing in LSX. I prefer him to some of the other characters we've come across, so without going into too much information about the guy, because there isn't too much to say at this point in time, he hasn't really achieved much, he would be one of my ones to look out for in the promotion in general, and I think he may well end up on the hot prospects list. I would hope so anyway. Now, Nightmare. I like the mask. I think it's great. The Deranged High Flyer. I think he is also part of the Horror Story trio, and he is. Quite a scary looking dude, and that's without the mask. No, with the mask, of course. Opener, so he's on a similar level to Halloween. I think Nightmare would be round about the open level. I think Halloween should be a little bit higher. Nightmare's slightly better than Halloween, I'd say, but he is also smaller as well, I believe. I think Halloween's a middleweight and Nightmare's lightweight. That could be wrong, but I think that's correct. Which kind of puts a lot of pressure on Fear, who's a mid-carder, to carry people that are below him when you've got the likes of the Old School and Picnic Crusade, who are all on the mid-card level, at least. So you could see Horror Story taking probably quite a lot of losses until they get to that level, which isn't a massive problem. This is a massive problem. Ninjant. Big guy, just a very bland worker, but he kind of tried to go down the entertainer route by being a crap ninja, I think is the best way of describing this gentleman. Opener, heel, but he is a big heavyweight, so he can pretty much... I think the gentleman's name in Chikara was Tursus, or something like that, who was just a big lump of useless putty, but he could like catch people and throw them. That's the idea of what I get with Ninjant. Pharaoh Ant, one of the other gentlemen whose tag team partner we saw previously, Blood Ant. Picnic Crusade member, 28 years of age. Even though Blood Ant is the better of the two, as Pharaoh Ant has 6 years, or 8 years in fact, his junior, and is a similar level skill-wise, I see more potential in Pharaoh Ant long-term. Sky Ant's pretty good, but Pharaoh Ant has the best future out of the three, I would say, as a singles competitor, and he's already an upper mid-carder with a technician to, you know... So his in-ring skills certainly don't let him down. And now we have Predator, who's my favourite big man in the company. Ninjant's bigger, Predator is better. Just look at that. Look at it, take it in, accept it, move on. 30 years of age. His in-ring stuff isn't great, although his intimidation factor has to be ramped up quite significantly. Better in the ring than Ninjant, which helps. Could he get all the way to main eventer? Possibly. Possibly, but mid-carder is acceptable. That's the level I would have him at this point in time anyway. Purple Demon, another member of the Hellspawn playgroup. I think he's the cruiserweight out of the trio, which he is. In-ring stuff's pretty good. His entertainment is where he gets most of his props for. I think one of the Hellspawn playgroup is a bit of a dick backstage, and it could be Purple Demon. I think it is Purple Demon, but we'll have a look at that later. Now Ray Suddenberg, Rocket Ray Suddenberg. The man, the myth, the legend, 38 years of age, the oldest member of the roster beyond Hashishiro Mori, who he's feuding with. He is the LSX King Champion Warrior, singles title holder, main eventer, face, can do a bit of everything. The only part that lets him down slightly is like the hardcore brawling and pure wrestler, which isn't a problem for this company. Everything else is pretty fantastic, deserved of his lofty position on the card. Referee Drake Frost, referee Toby Frost. What you may know... I thought it was these two. I know they're brothers. I thought one of them was supposed to be an evil referee or something closer to that. And Toby Frost, I think, is the evil of the two. So a referee with a little bit of a backstory there for you. He's more lenient with the rules and letting the heels get away with things. Scott Loudman is the announcer. Sir Walter Funk, Disco Knight, tag team partner of Guy Hero. I think together they're known as King's Quest. One of my favourite characters in this company. I do prefer him to Guy Hero, if not just because of the sideburns and hair and chainmail get-up that he's got going on for him. In-ring wise, probably slightly worse than Guy Hero actually overall, but I think the way I would push him, he'd inevitably climb his way up the card. I mean, he's already a mid-carder. He would probably be a main eventer in 2 years' time, I would say. Sky Ant, so he's slightly older than Pharaoh Ant. Japanese junior, so he's got a few more kicks in his arsenal, and again he's very good in the ring. Trying to think where I'd see him going. I mean, I think it'd be quite interesting to see without the mask because of his mohawk and thin goatee that he has there. I really misread the bio here, so I just caught myself off guard. If you guys can see in the top paragraph there, it says Sky Ant is the smallest of the insect invaders. Now I read that as incest invaders. Now that is a massive difference. That's not even in the same ballpark. You're playing different sports there. But fortunately it does say insect. Super Evil. He's an alien. More specifically, an alien invader. Heel, middleweight, yes, very much. Would he work in any other company? Probably, well, almost certainly not. In this company, it's kind of a comedy gimmick. I think if he were to ever leave LSX, unless he was doing work in Mexico, he'd probably need to radically change his gimmick because I really don't think it would suit too well. Having said that, there are promotions afoot to be put in the data after the initial release that would suit comedy characters, and they might be in different regions. I won't go into too much detail because, as I said, nothing's set in stone at this point. But there you have Super Evil. From one super to another, and this is Supernova. I do like this guy. I prefer him to Murcielago Negro, who we saw earlier. Mainly because I think I could get him over with the fans better than I could Murcielago Negro. I could be wrong, but I think they might actually be a tag team. We'll have to have a look when we come to that part of the screen. Mid-carder face, actually probably too high for him. I would have said lower mid-carder at best, but there you go, something to build upon. The Great Clemento, yeah, 40 years of age, been around for ages, got the classical wrestling mask. Boring, don't care. I mean, he's okay in the ring, but if it was more akin to Matt Classic, Colt Cabana's alter ego, sorry to break kayfabe there, I could do something with him. The Great Clemento, I just don't think has it in him to do that, unfortunately, but he won't be around for too much longer. He is 40 years of age, mid-carder, so someone you could phase out, and this is my least favourite character in the promotion, sadly. Tiberius Rex. Now, some of you may recognise this picture from the Greydogsoftware forums, as it is Tiberius's picture. This wasn't based on an image I had of him, this was just the character I went for based on that or that name in general, and Tiberius liked it and used it. You can even see the kind of golden laurel crown around his head there with some pretty emphatic facial hair to accompany it. Upper mid-carder, inspirational leader. He would be in the main event scene for me personally, and most likely Tiberius. I don't know how M Hero feels about this, or you guys in fact. But yeah, very, very nice. I like Tiberius Rex. Tommy Malone, colour commentator. Not really much else to say about that. He was a former wrestler himself. Tyson Jet. I think he is the other half of Windy City Whirlwinds with Mr. Devon Flash. The blandest tag team in this company, but still not my least favourite. That honour goes to Fallout. I think he actually suffered an injury, if I recall. Let me just have a quick look at the bio here. Yeah. Yeah, no, he did. There was a car accident. He was out for almost, probably, well over a year, I would have thought. And he came back in late 2011. So fortunately it didn't end his career. It certainly took a good portion of his career away, but it's a nice story. And like I said, the tag team isn't terrible, so I could see them doing things in the long term. Now, WB Jones. The beard-stroking, eye-poking, rough, tough, big, broad, and has the stuff. There you go. That's his gimmick. And again, this may be familiar to some others out there, because this was loosely based on Mr. Wallbanger, a famous Twitch TV streamer himself in the day. One of the people I originally started watching that got me into streaming in general. And subsequently these videos for you guys. He's the road agent for the company, former wrestler himself, never particularly great in the ring, but you know, he got over more on gimmick than anything else. Yellow Demon, the final member of Hellspawn Playgroup. Rumble's pretty good, everything else is okay. I prefer him to Purple Demon, because I think Purple Demon is the dick that I believe him to be. And this is also the last member of the roster, so that covers the entire company from top to bottom. Now, this is, as I said, it's a cult company, so there are more people in this than you've seen in some recent videos where they've been either small or regional. So that's taken up a fair chunk of time to just get this done, but I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are too. We'll have a look at the storylines. There aren't any starting storylines, but we're not required to run any. I think I will set some up anyway for the initial data, but that at least saves us getting dinged in that. And the titles. Now here we go, you'll see some lovely title renders here, and once again these title renders have been brought to you courtesy of MJ Stark Productions. The Dual Warrior King's title, with a fantastic Triceratops on there, is held by Fear and Halloween. The LSX King Champion Warrior title, one of my favourite title renders, by the way, is held by Mr. Ray Suddenberg. And the LSX Universal Trio Crown, this is held every April, so there you go, that's the month the tournament takes place. And that is a trios tournament, effectively, so you have that to look forward to in your booking notepad going forward. We'll have a look at the tag teams now. We have the Hellspawn Playgroup, Horror Story, King's Quest, Picnic Crusade, the Imperials, the Old School, the Raiders, the Vile Verbose Villains, and the Windy City Whirlwind. So for the size of the company, an insane list of tag teams, which is great. So it gives you guys choice about splitting even some of them up. But then again, tag team and trios work is quite important in this company, so it helps that you've got the options there to, you know, carry things out as you see fit. Now, stables. We have Hellspawn Playgroup, Horror Story, the Fallout, the Old School, and the Picnic Crusade. Again, you can make temporary trios for the tournament, so that's not a problem. Obviously, bringing in people as well as an availability there. And we'll have a look at the creative meeting. Oh, fantastic. Franchise players, fourth on the list, George Jones. I'm pleased to see he made that one. Ray Suddenberg, J Omega, Hashiro Mori, and Blood Ant are the ones I would expect to be there. Next big things, none. Unfortunate. I was hoping maybe we'd get one. Hot prospects. Now this is the list I was interested in. So Walter Funk, fantastic. You'll know from my roster review that he is one of my favourites. Supernova, again. Higher on the list than Murcielago Negro, which is great. Impaler, that's unfortunate. And in Giant, there you go. So two of my least favourites on the roster should be able to do things as well. Talk the Talk. George Jones, Blue Demon, Ray Suddenberg, Super Evil, and Hashiro Mori. Showstoppers, Ray Suddenberg, Omega, Hashiro Mori, Blood Ant, and the Great Clemento. Well, he had to get on one top list, didn't he? Ring Generals, or two. Ring Generals, Ray Suddenberg, The Great Clemento, J Omega, Blood Ant, and Hashiro Mori. Who's hot? No one. Who's not? No one. Time decline, Hashiro Mori, that's to be expected, 41 years of age. Hidden Gems. Again, this is being added to us at all times, so Ian Stout, Yamato Mori, that's a name I don't think you've seen yet. Peyton Parker, probably another name I don't think that's popped up. Franklin Britt, who's in CWO, and Pavel Volokov, who I think is unassigned. So I think there are some better suited people actually to be picked up by LSX. We have, well, there's one in particular, masked worker by the name of Terminex, who hasn't appeared yet, but he was someone that I'd look to bring in as this company. There are others as well. Maybe the Gentle Maniac, but I've said too much, we'll move on. And this will lead us into booking the show. Now let us click the book button and we go to the right screen. Okay, so what are we looking at time-wise? An hour and a half, that's fine. I can do an hour and a half with this, that's fine. Oh, we still have an incident. Oh, I missed that. Let's have a look at the incident. Not on that one. Not on that one. Oh, what am I clicking? There we go. We're on the right screen at least. Locker room incidents. Probably Purple Demon stirring shit up. Oh, Pharaoh Ant. Interesting. Pharaoh Ant got into a heated argument with a fan outside of the arena and had to be restrained before he made things physical. As his employer, you now have to choose how to deal with the situation. Riot Act. I can't believe you're making this into such a big deal. Nothing even happened. You can't be starting arguments and punch-ups with the fans. It's just unacceptable. But that will have dropped the locker room morale. It has. Right, anyway. Let us book a show. Okay, so it's not a pay-per-view event, so we don't need to put any titles on the line, or in my book we don't need to put any titles on the line. We go to the tag team screen, and from here we will pick the Picnic Crusade to lose because of Pharaoh Ant's shenanigans, shall we say. He will be losing, obviously, to a heel tandem, and the old school, why not? This will go... actually, yeah, they can go relatively long, because most of them are in the main event up in mid-carder area. Victor will have George Jones go over, and we will have Pharaoh Ant go under. Sounds okay, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll go with it, I've said it now. Open match. Beyond that, I'm not particularly fussed what happens. Again, it's just to give you a little flavour of the promotion in general. Now we'll have a look. I think we will have a main event between Ray Suddenberg and J Omega, and I think Hashiro Mori might put his 2 cents into proceedings afterwards. So that will be the main event. We'll let this go quite a while actually, I think. So maybe about 18, around about there. But Ray Suddenberg's going to get the win. Open match. Loser is going to be Mr. Omega. Now I want it to end because of an interference, so DQ finish. Or outside interference finish. Okay, I think that's what I want. Just making sure there's nothing else. Okay, yeah, so outside interference. The interference will be Ray Suddenberg getting jumped by Hashiro Mori. There we go. Everyone should be... Yep, that's fine, I don't want to put the title on the line. That will be the main event. I want a trios match and we will have some of the... Right, let's get rid of the people that haven't been, or that have already been used on the card. So the demons should be good to go, I think. I don't... Yep, they are. So we'll get them involved. We will have... I think we'll have them take the win. Haven't decided yet who they're going to go over. Actually, yeah, I have. It will be these gentlemen here. And Mr. Fear. Should be a relatively fun match. I don't expect it to grade necessarily well. Have to have it early on in the show because there are enhancement talents in this match. So, change, victor, blue demon, loser will be nightmare. Will be an open match though, and I think we'll have work for crowd. Okay, so that will be going on earlier in the show. Singles match. Right, let's see who we can use now. I'm thinking Tiberius Rex will get a win over Jeremiah West, just because. Let that go about 10, I think it's a reasonable time. So Tiberius Rex to get the win. Loser will obviously be Jeremiah West. It will be open though. Don't want a dusty finish with this. Trying to think what else I want on the show. We'll get the King's Quest in a tag match. And we'll have them go over the vile verbose villains. And I need to have a match, obviously, that I haven't decided exactly what's going to happen, and I'll let the computer pick and choose what we want, or well, what it wants, I should say. So Walter Funk to get the win. We'll have Super Evil to take the loss. And it'll be an open match. Actually, I'll have that go on after that. I'll put a couple of angles on, don't worry. But I just want another singles match where we'll get Predator to kill someone. Problem is, yeah, that'll work. Want it to be a little bit of a squash match. So 5 minutes. Predator. Domination. And that will do that. Okay. Right, now we'll put a couple of angles on here. I think we might have Predator just kill, not match. We'll have Predator continue to, like Monster Unleashed type gimmick. So, Predator. It's not going to grade well because Murcielago Negro isn't over. But I just want him to emphasise his point because it will be also based on Predator's menace rating, which I'm pretty sure is high. So 4 minutes for that. It doesn't say we need any more angles, but I will put one more on there. And it will be talking. And it will be a face-off but no contact. Oh, no, too many. No, didn't want that. Just looking at the options here, I don't want 3 people to be involved, so I might just have it classed as something which isn't quite accurate. Okay, this is more on what I was looking for. I want J Omega to kind of challenge Ray Suddenberg, but I have to do it under the guise of an open challenge. I could... No, that's fine. I would change the wording on that, but it's not essential. I've explained to you briefly what exactly I see happening. And so that will go on just before the main event. So that puts us just 1 minute shy of the 90 minutes show which we're supposed to have, so that's fine, I'm happy with that. We'll hit save and we will get into the business of the show itself. Okay. I'm hoping for around about a C grade here, or well, C plus would be ideal, or B minus around about that level. It's held in front of 1,500 people at Leavenworth Armory and is being shown live on US Sports View. In a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action, Hellspawn Playgroup, so Blue Demon, Purple Demon and Yellow Demon, defeated Horror Story, Fear, Halloween and Nightmare in 6 minutes 46 when Blue Demon defeated Nightmare by pinfall with a thin blue line. In an extremely short match, Predator defeated Murcielago Negro in 5 minutes 25 by pinfall with the final hunt. Didn't expect that to be great, although they do have great chemistry, so that's good. Future squash victim for forever decided there, I think. Move on now. Well, yeah, he destroys Murcielago Negro. We expected that to not be particularly great because of their overness, so that's fine though. A D is probably as good as you could have expected for this, and Murcielago Negro underperformed, but Predator did look good. Tag team match. In a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action, King's Quest defeated the Vile Verbose Villains in 12 minutes 25 when Sir Walter Funk defeated Super Evil by pinfall with a Funk Dunk. Got to be very careful how you pronounce that. Okay. That's a bit unfortunate. I'm going to blame Jeremiah West entirely for that. Although Tiberius Rex was really off his game tonight, so maybe I'm wrong. In a match that had an average crowd reaction and some decent in-ring action, Tiberius Rex defeated Jeremiah West in 10 minutes 13 by pinfall with a March of the Legionaries. In a bout that had a good crowd and good action, the Old School defeated Picnic Crusade in 16 minutes 8 seconds when George Jones defeated Pharaoh Ant by submission with a space-time continuum. Now a C, I would have hoped for a little bit more, but you know, that's just me being picky really. Okay, J Omega comes out and says that he will take the open challenge that Ray Suddenberg issued. Sure, that's not what I wanted, but you know, I explained to you guys what I did. No, we don't need to do that. There we go. In a bout that had great heat and good action, Ray Suddenberg defeated J Omega in 17 minutes 38 by submission with an LSX pretzel after blatantly cheating. What the fuck? What? What? Okay, fine. Yeah, the good guy blatantly cheated with an LSX pretzel after getting attacked by Hashiro Mori. I thought I hit interference finish, but maybe I didn't. I'm assuming I didn't. I trust the game. But still, got me a B-, and Ray Suddenberg and J Omega have great chemistry. Fantastic. That show should have been pretty damn good. C+. The show increased our popularity in 11 regions. Thank you, baby Jesus. That was exactly what I was hoping for, and it's proved to be just exquisite. We're riding, I should say, a wave of momentum now going into these next few shows, I think. So yes, that is Luchasaurus X, one of the favourite promotions of not only myself, but M Hero and Tiberius and other people that have seen videos of me doing it previously. A very fun promotion, cult, so they do have the opportunity to grow into being maybe a national company down the road. You'd have to bring in some more people, obviously, but there will be a bounty of people to choose from to bring into the roster. I think the show probably, in keeping with Pure Heart Wrestling that we did recently, that was a great show. This was equally great, I think, for the level of promotion, certainly. That's everything from LSX. I'll see you for episode 12, I believe, shortly. Until then, though, thank you guys for stopping by.